So election time is here and people are going to freak out and they think it matters. It truly doesn't matter. And I'll explain. In 1913, the United States went public as a corporation. For those of you that don't understand what a public company is, it's they start selling their shares to anyone that wants to buy them. In America, in the United States of America Corporation, that would be called treasury bonds. And right now, our number one holder of treasury bonds on the board of directors is the government of China. All right, you understand how that works? So a private company has actual sovereignty. It can do what it wants. It's more like a monarchy. A private company like Kohler in America is a very powerful company. The richest people I know are private companies. So there's a family in the town I live in that owns all kinds of agriculture, crushing and hauling rocks, meat processing, all that. I could easily see their assets being in the billions. And it's just a family, and they're very humble and very cool people, and no one can buy stock into the company. They own it. They make the decisions. All right. Then when a company goes public, like Sony, Warner Brothers, Walmart, AT&T, Verizon, anything that you can buy in the stock market, when you buy a share, you're a part owner of the company. Now, that's like 1/billionth. You know, if you have one share of AT&T, you don't exactly get to be on the board of directors, but you are a part owner of the company. That's why when you go public, the owners of the company get so rich, but they lose all control. Same thing happened in the United States of America with the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. Think of it as a country going public. Okay, so a lot of wealth came out of it, quote unquote wealth, but that's because it was selling shares, treasury bonds, to the rest of the world. Anybody that wanted to buy them. I could buy treasury bonds, you could buy treasury bonds, but to get on the board of directors is very, very expensive. Okay. So what is the president of the United States? The president of the United States is the CEO of the company called the United States of America. He or she, hopefully he, is does not own it, no control, nothing. CEO. The CEO answers to the board of directors, okay? The shareholders. And so it truly does not matter. So the election, the voting, one reason why they're getting so flippant with it, and I see a lot of truthers talking about how like, oh, they're rigging the election. There is no election, ever. It's a poll. It's a poll. Imagine Best Buy takes a poll, like as you're shopping, they say, fill out a survey and tell me, did you like Gary, the new floor manager? I'm not exaggerating. That's what the president is, and that's what voting is. Ever since 1913, a lot of people have a hard time understanding this or, but it's a fact. Ever since 1913, your vote doesn't mean anything. It's a poll. I mean, you can even tell that because of the Electoral College, because of the state, the way it all works, your vote it's a poll. It's to see how the customers are feeling. That's it. And that's not cynical or black pill. It's an absolute fact. So America went public. So a nation would be a private company. So like, let's say you have Luxembourg, or I don't know enough about a lot of foreign companies. I know most of them are public. North Korea is a family-owned nation. Okay? North Korea is a family-owned nation. You look at some of these, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates is private. It's a private company because it's owned by the House of Saud. Okay? They get to make the calls. They own it, and then the people benefit from it because they're all shareholders in it. Kuwait. Every Kuwaiti gets $800,000 a year as their cut of the oil revenue because they're all owners of their own nation. America is not that. The United States went public in 1913 and allowed the entire world to buy it. Okay? With that comes the perks of a public company, but you are not a shareholder of the United States of America. You're a citizen. A citizen is in certain aspects, is a slave. You know, you can leave though, it's consensual. You have free will, but that's how slavery always was. You know, the Hollywood movies of you being whipped and held in chains is not reality, but you are an indentured servant. The United States of America as a corporation sells your future labor in the form of taxes. It sells it in shares to anyone who wants to buy it. Other sovereign countries that want to buy it in the form of treasury bonds. Okay, so when you vote for president, you're taking a poll to see who your favorite managerial CEO is for a company that they do not own. So when people talk about, you know, voting and he's going to change that, okay, the president can no more change the country any more than a manager of a regional Best Buy can shut down Best Buy. It's that ridiculous. Now they can affect culture, but it's not anything. You know, if you wanted to take control of America, you would start buying its treasury bonds, like what China has done or what other, what other groups have done. So that's what the Federal Reserve is. The Federal Reserve is going public. That's what it means. So I hope you found that interesting. I promise it's not a black pill. I don't like to refer to myself as a slave. I pay taxes, I pay property tax, but it's so big that we can be owners ourselves and have really great lives. And it's not like this tyrannical situation. In fact, when you're in a public company, they're always trying to maximize comfort and efficiency. You know, this isn't tyranny, okay? But you don't have a say in how it's run because you don't own the company any more than it's a survey after you go to the post office. And they say, did you like your service? Fill this out in the back. So again, I know that you guys like to get pretty jacked up and juiced up and squirt all over yourselves when it comes to election because you feel important. Like you pick the future of America. I promise you don't. Now, if you want to actually change America, you get productive, you change its demographic, you know, and then you start looking into other governments from the past. And again, this isn't an endorsement at all. But what does national, you know, there's socialism and then there's nationalism and then there's social, national, and national. So, okay, so how would a company go from being public to back to being private? Or how would a company fight to stay private when there's forces at work for it to go public? If you've watched the show Succession, that's a very good pop culture way of looking at what a public company looks like. The board of directors voting on the CEO. The customers are not voting on the CEO. They're taking a poll, okay? Private companies have the most amount of wealth, in my opinion. That's why I love private. I would never go public with anything I create, you know? And some of the richest people I know, I don't know if I've talked about this in this video, it's getting a little long, but are humble people that have private companies. I know some that are literally billionaires. And they make all their calls. They don't have to answer to a board. They don't have to answer to shit, you know? And it's amazing. And those are the best nations, you know, are the ones that don't sell out, don't go public. That's why it's called selling out. Okay? So this election year, don't get too stressed out because I promise you it does not matter at all. Zero, not one bit. You're voting for a manager at Best Buy, but you're not even voting. You're not even deciding. The Electoral College decides. You're taking a vote or a poll to see if you're satisfied with your manager at the Geek Squad. All right. Much love.